So I ran down to the hardware store and picked up some 24-inch long pieces of wood. I measured and marked the wood, made 5/8-inch large holes so that the rope would slide through easily. Once I had those ready, I went ahead and slid my rope in and tied a knot at the bottom. So I made a 20-inch measurement and marked it. I knew that that's where I was going to make my next knot and add my next piece of wood. I repeated that process until I had 5 shelves in place. I then secured the rope on the curtain rod that I already had on the door. This allowed me to hold it in place while I worked on the other side. I made sure everything was straight, and then I started to work my way down using the leftover rope. Once I had everything in place, it was hanging really nicely. Once that was done, I set my plants in place.
Head to Dollar Tree and pick up 3 glass carafes. Take twine and wrap, tie, and secure around the glass. Take an indoor plant and clip parts of the plant off. Add water to the glass bottles and then add clippings to the water. Hang a curtain rod and add more twine or rope from the rod to the twine connected to the bottles.
Headed on down to Dollar Tree to grab some bottles, and I'm also going to need a bottle cutting device. I got this off Amazon. It was real easy. I went ahead and took off the cap and top off the bottle. That was easy to do. Next, what I'm going to do is adjust the tool to go ahead and score or line up the bottle where I want it to be cut and to split it. Once you got that marked, we're going to take some of the rubber rings that come with the kit, and I'm going to put it just a few centimeters away from the line on the top and the bottom. Once I do that, it's onto some boiling water. Now be very careful when we do this. We're going to pour it over the score line, and we're going to do this for about 20 to 30 seconds. It's going to get the bottle real hot in that area. Very carefully, we're then going to go over to some ice water, pour it over, and it's going to pop right there at that score line. And look at that. We got a nice clean cut. It also comes with some sandpaper, 220 grit, and we're going to move it back and forth on that to give it a nice, smooth, easy edge. Once we do that, we're going to turn that bottle top upside down. I'm going to put some pebbles in the bottom, and then I'm going to add some succulents. Now the base, I got this sand at Dollar Tree. I put a little bit on the bottom, and again, you guessed it, I grabbed a candle from Dollar Tree also, and I put it in there. Now, what am I going to put my new cut bottles with my candle and succulents on? Well, I decided to build something that would go out in the front yard and kind of be a conversation piece. So I grabbed some scrap wood from my pile, and I started building. It's time to put my bottles into place. And then the base with the candles, I'm going to put those at the bottom and light them up. I made it to where I could have many different signs. I've got 2 boards that slide in and out with 2 sayings on each side. So every week I can have a different saying. For today's project, I'm going to head down to my local hardware store. I'm going to grab some closet poles that expand. I'm also going to grab some brackets. These poles are really cool. One is larger than the other, but on the end I've got a cap with a screw. I need to take that off. Measure with these poles, put them together from floor to ceiling, and mark the height of my ceiling. And what I'm going to do is I need to put these 2 together. So I'm going to mark it exactly the height I need, and I need a pre-drill. And then I'm going to attach it back again with the screw. This is going to be perfect size that I need. The next step is I'm going to take the smallest drill bit I can find and pre-drill. Don't push too hard, but you're going to put that first screw in, but don't go all the way because we're going to put that bracket on and slide it into place. Then we can take a pencil and mark exactly where our next screw needs to go. Put the bracket in again like we did before, and then we're going to go ahead and put the screw in. Once we get that first one in, we're going to put the second one. Let's head on inside now. We're going to put that bracket that comes with the poles into the ceiling, and then we're going to pop it into place. Now, let's take some twine because we're going to hang some plants.
I completely transformed this thrifted lampshade into the most beautiful home decor. I removed the shade so it was just the wire frame. I used a utility knife to scrape off the glue. Then I sanded the wire frame with sandpaper and steel wool. I wiped clean and then spray painted it matte black. While it was drying, I sanded a wood round, wiped it clean, and sealed it with gloss spray Varathane. I applied 5 coats and then sprayed the last coat with satin Varathane. I pre-drilled and screwed the wire frame and wood round together. I grabbed 2 hanging baskets and liners from Dollar Tree for this epic garden project. I unclipped the chains off of one of the baskets and placed the liners in each basket. Next, I used sharp scissors to cut a slit in the middle of each section and in the center hole at the bottom. Then I grabbed some petunias from my local garden center and carefully placed them into each hole. Planting from the outside worked best for me. I set it aside and repeated the same steps for the second basket. Next, I filled the center of each basket with potting soil and watered it. I gently placed one basket on top of the other and secured them together using 4 black zip ties. At that point, I decided to add in a few more flowers on the edge where the baskets meet.
First step I'm going to do is start clearing out some of these big flat rocks. I got to get the base ready. Next step is to take a small 2x4 and screed the area. That helps level the soil. I want to make sure it is nice and level. Now it's time for the first block. Put that down, shake it a little bit so that it feels nice and firm. We're going to actually keep doing this up and down as we go. Once you get that base done, put that 2x4 across and make sure it's level. Now it's time for some construction adhesive. We don't want to put too much on. We just need to make sure those bricks don't slide and break and fall whenever we put them together. And then I cut a nice big piece of redwood board that fits on top. I grab these from the hardware store and I go ahead and separate the roots a little bit and put some nice potting soil in. These pots will slide right down in and take the form of the cavity that we're putting them in.
You're going to need 6 plain wood crates. I am going to use spray paint in 3 different colors. Once the paint is dry, I'm going to seal these crates. So I grabbed some 2x2 pieces of wood and I'm going to cut them down to size. Then you're going to sand down the edges and stain this. Now that the stain and paint is dry, it's time to lay this out and dry fit everything. Then using a drill, just add pilot holes and then 2-inch screws to hold everything together. Once everything is assembled, it's time to put it in place.
I've got an area on the side of my house that is just ugly with an old hose. Take some handles and also the base for a planter, and I'm going to put these handles on the side. Go ahead and put both sides on and make sure you get them nice and tight, but we're going to flip it over because we need to drill some drain holes. Once we got these holes drilled, turn it back over and we're going to use some succulent potting soil. And then you can begin to go ahead and transplant your succulents over to this base. On the planter though, we need to drill a hole about halfway up, and that's how we're going to put the hose in. So we also want to put some drain holes in the bottom of this planter. Now the last thing we got to do is put some wood in there. That's going to hold this lid up. Once you got it, make sure you do 2 on each side. Make sure you also get that garden hose through.
Look for flowers in a multi-pack that can be split apart. Take your laundry basket and drill several holes in the bottom with a drill. Line the laundry basket with a burlap bag or burlap fabric. Start to fill the burlap-lined laundry basket with potting soil. Fill to about 1 inch from the top of the basket. Cut the excess burlap from the top of the basket with some scissors. Starting with the second row of side basket holes, cut the plastic between 2 holes to create 1 larger hole. Then, cut out the burlap from that larger hole to access the dirt. Take one of your plants and plant it in the hole by pushing it into the dirt behind it. It helps to use your other hand to grab the plant as it comes through the hole and press dirt down around it on the inside of the basket. Once you have the sides of your basket planted, you can plant the top.
I scooped up this metal filing cabinet from Facebook Marketplace. I took it out of my van and I put it up on some raised ladders and I removed all the drawers. Then I'm going to come in with this rust paint and I'm going to paint the entire filing cabinet. Then I'm going to use my drill and I'm going to drill in some holes in the bottom. To weight it down, I'm going to be putting in 2 bags of pea stone gravel. Then I'm going to go to my yard and I collected all these old leaves. This is great because I'm going to fill up the bulk of the cabinet with the leaves. So I fill it up till there's about 1/4 left at the top, and then I fill that last 1/4 with my potting mix. Then I'm going to go ahead and plant in my flowers.